Yeah,
It's like popcorn.
it sounds like something out of a horror movie. Baby squids is a. Good evening, Daniel. How are you today, my
Mis-
friend?
Mr. Mark, good evening to you. How are you?
God, you seem very relaxed today.
I am. I'm quite chill today, and you seem to be sounding a little bit better as well. You've been a bit under the weather, haven't you?
Well, I had a lovely trip to the UK, which we maybe should talk about after we film this video. And I managed to pick up the flu. Right then, today we are going to talk about, at last, Spanish food, tapas and all
You
Spanish food.
you've wanted to talk about tapas for weeks.
Now, one of the most wonderful reasons for living here, and the greatest reasons for living here, is definitely the Spanish food. Daniel, I will put you straight on the spot. Give me your favorite Spanish dish.
Sure, just one. Can I not?
What?
Can I have enough top five at least?
I think I have a few. Yeah.
All right, okay. Well, I think if we're going to go as we're in a, kind of a colder season, being winter, I would go for one of my top ones being callos.
Yeah, dude, I
Callos.
believe that is tripe, isn't it?
It is tripe with chickpeas and chorizo, morcilla. It's so warming. They put some spice in there as well, so the chilies in there. There's a bit of a kick to it as well. But it's just so it's filling, tasty, and it warms you up a treat.
Yeah, it's this time of year. That's a great dish. It's one of those strange things that tripes obviously get such a bad name back home, but the way it's prepared and presented or served up here is an amazing dish, especially this time of year when it can be a little bit nippy. Well,
It's
I'll go
completely
for
different.
what I'm trying to think what my favourite dish is. I do like a salmorejo. How about that?
Very nice, very nice. I
And
don't
you obviously
I
know what
make
that
it mean.
is, don't you, Daniel?
I make it mean salmorejo me.
Imagine what you're on the countryside. You can brew that stuff up. I mean, that's like I call it a posh gazpacho. That
It is a kind of like a posh gazpacho,
gazpacho.
and it's just the silkiness of it and the texture, the flavor. It's completely different to a gazpacho, but yes, I would agree that that is a definitely a summer favorite.
Well, I mean, what people we should probably explain what that is really. I mean, it's a form of like almost a cold tomato soup made with a lot of garlic, and it sounds cold. I mean, oh, cold soup, but it's absolutely delicious. And they tend to serve it here with a touch of boiled egg broken on top, which once again doesn't sound really appetizing, and a little bit of Spanish ham, but with the right type of bread. It really is the most wonderful starter. I actually said the other day, someone asked me what would be my last meal if I had to choose my last meal, and I actually put that up as a starter. So there we are.
Really,
Yeah,
it's actually got a decent amount of bread in it as well. It's tomatoes, peppers, garlic, and bread in there as well, which gives it the texture once it's all been beaten up and whizzed up and blended. It's yeah, it's lovely, and I could see why that would be probably a number one starter for sure.
right. Come on, give me another one.
Secondly, well, as you've gone for a summer dish, I'll go for a summer dish as well. And one of my favourite fish dishes is adobo. Adobo, which is small chunks of white fish which have been marinated. And then the old story about this is that the reason why it came around is the adobo spice was used to preserve fish that was getting towards the end of its freshness, its lifespan. And probably on the last day, what they'd do is whatever was left, they would chop it up into chunks, put it in the tempura batter, and then they would fry it off. So it's already been kind of preserved these spices and the vinegar and the lemon and the pimenton, and then it's fried. It's just such a lovely taste to it.
I tell you what, as you've gone for a fish dish, I'll stick with the fish, and I'll go for calamaritos, which are baby
Calamari,
squids, deep fried.
like popcorn,
Yeah, they
like popcorn.
it sounds like something out of a horror movie. Baby squids but I mean, I introduced that to someone recently, and they're like popcorn, but they just melt in the mouth. And it's one of the most wonderful dishes to have in a chiringuito by the sea. You get the lemon, you squeeze it on top. That is a good one. Everybody obviously knows the calamares, and people have the calamari rings, but go for the calamaritos because that is a grade up in my opinion.
Totally nice and crunchy, and if you're into your sauces as well, get a bit of alioli.
Oh,
Get a little bit of alioli on the side so you can dip them in, and you can every now and a bit of bread to go with it. Yep, yep, I'd definitely go with that one.
I wanted to perceive to be more healthy, so I wasn't going to mention the alioli, but it is the serve the devil's work there. I mean, it's basically just a great mayonnaise with garlic in it, garlic mayonnaise, really. But it's delicious. And as we're talking garlic mayonnaise, what about? I know one of both our favourites is a Serenito.
What a mixture! What a mixture! Now, would you go for pork or would you go for chicken? Which would be your favourite out of the two?
Well, I haven't eaten meat for 14 months, and one of the few things I do miss is a Serenito de Pollo. I used to have a Serenito Saturday because they're not the most healthiest sandwiches in the world. And we're going to
Really?
break it. No, you don't really, yeah.
Really?
But I do miss that. Maybe you could break it down and tell people what a Serenito consists of. And
Well, if you must. Well, you can go for a fillet of chicken, chicken fillet, nice on the plancha, nicely seared, condimented salt and pepper, and then you've got a couple of layers of serrano ham, fried pepper, some garlic mayonnaise, a bit of tomato, depending on who's making it. And some people put lettuce in. I would say don't bother, leave it alone, and just put some cheese in there as well. And thank you very much. We shall do with that.
yeah, I mean, there's various takes on how to make a
Oh
Serenito.
yeah.
There's a Pepito as well, which is a kind of like another version of that, like a bastard version of a Serenito. We actually have where I live, we actually have a little cafeteria, and it's called the Serenito. That's they specialise in it. Come on, what about give me another dish? What about a meat dish?
A meat dish. There are so many meat dishes in Spain. Believe it or not, and I do this on a regular basis, and I tend to do it on Fridays because it was a bit of a tradition. Chicken livers.
Well, there we go. That's I wasn't expecting that.
Chicken livers with garlic, onion, and red wine, and it's they're just amazing. Black pepper, stick in some parsley or a little bit of rosemary as you're doing them with the sauce, and then it is just it's not what you think. And obviously, when you buy them in the supermarket, you can buy them in little pots, and it comes with the liver, the heart, and the lung as well, and it's all mixed up in there. And it sounds terrible.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Like the gallos, but if you do it like I said, with the garlic and onion, red wine once they've been seared, get them through, and then just put the wine in, let it simmer with some rosemary, and thank you very much again. A dish to feed the soul, shall we say?
Yeah, there's something similar to that would be Rabo de Toro, no? That's
Yes.
that's a good one. That is a
What about you when it comes to meat dishes? Your favourite? What would you say would be?
well. I mean, I won't be a pescatarian as I am forever. I just did it kind of just cleanse my soul a bit. But I do like Rabo de Toro, which is basically bull's tail, which is served in a very unique way. Once again, the meat of that is so tender, and you get a special fork to hook it out of the bone. That's a delicious dish, which I never thought I'd ever eat in a million years, and I'd ordered it one day, and it's amazing. Also, secreto, which is like the pork shoulder, also called
Yep.
pluma here, which is also very tender meat, but it's kind of like so rich tasting that I remember being served that for the first time and thinking, is that all I get? And the person next to me had this big steak, and I said, well, I should order the steak. And by the time I got through it, it was just right because it's so rich and
Yeah.
not so infinite, but you couldn't eat too much of that. It's kind of a bit like the Rabo de Toro, very rich and full of flavour. That it's just about right. Those two dishes would go. I think my favourite, if I apart from maybe the ham and the cheese, which we should talk about after I say this, I do like a Spanish breakfast. We've talked about it on previous videos. I don't think you can beat the toast with tomato here with the olive oil and the garlic.
It is. It is very nice indeed, and as you say, easy to do, simple to do, and a lot of people have taken that home with them back to the UK, and they still do it
Definitely.
at home. They go into work smelling the garlic, and what have you been eating? And they explain it. So, before
I,
we head on to what you were saying about changing lamb.
lamb. Oh my god, shoulder of lamb. Any sort of
See,
lamb.
see, the thing is, there are a few places, especially down the coast, that do it pretty well. In Fuengirola, the Los Manueles, they do it really well.
Yep.
La Salina, they do it well. But the best shoulder of lamb that I had was in a village in the Alpujarra in Granada, which is below Sierra Nevada, the ski resort. and in a place called Capileda. Now, I used to go to Capileda quite a lot, and there's one place that you have to book a table at least 2 or 3 days in advance, because if not, you won't get in, and you have to pre-order the lamb because it's on a slow cook for 15 hours.
Well, that's I think that's what puts a lot of people off with the lamb, because if you have a leg of lamb at a restaurant, it's usually in the brackets after said this takes 30 minutes to prepare. So some people are put off by the cooking time, but I've never eaten lamb like I've eaten here. I wasn't a big fan of lamb in the UK. There's something about it here, the way they present it. You don't need mint sauce here. So I don't know why. But anyway, I have
No.
an English friend of mine, if he's watching, hello Dave, who always makes a joke and asks where the mint sauce is. But you don't need mint sauce with lamb in Spain. But it's interesting when you talk about different places being specialised. I mean, I've got a map which I'll trump it up on the screen, because various dishes associated with various areas of Spain. But one place I'm yet to visit, and I keep meaning to visit, and seeing I love tuna fish so much, is Barbate,
Barbate.
which is the
Barbate.
capital of tuna fish. They do allegedly between 30 and 40 different tuna fish meals. And I've started eating tuna fish steaks when I go out, because I'm not eating meat. And I would be 50-50 now, even when I went back to meat. What would I choose? An ordinary beef sirloin or a tuna steak? Because tuna steaks, when done well, are amazing. And tuna tartare, well, they make it with the avocado and the Tabasco sauce or whatever they do with it, and with little toast biscuits with it. It's a most amazing dish.
I mean, Barbate is phenomenal. You go there and visit there and see the different restaurants, and as you're saying, the different styles of the way they're doing the tuna. Go at the right time of year, and you're really spoiled. You really are spoiled, because the level is just off the chart.
Well, one day I'll get it there. Well, I think we should finish off by talking about the famous Spanish ham. Because you know, when I first came here, I didn't like the Spanish ham.
Really?
But weirdly, I'm in London. There's a pretty lot more Parma ham from Italy than you get the Spanish version here. But I went with my wife, and we ended up, I think, near Cadiz somewhere. And someone served us in the restaurant, and I said, where has this been all my life? Where has this stuff been? And since that day, you can't beat it. And when you see them cut it off when they have these huge legs in the restaurants, and the guys with the knives cutting it, or however they do it, it's like art.
Yes, and it is a minefield when it comes to knowing which hams to buy, which hams to cut, how to cut them, and everything. Because you've got bellota, which is the acorn fed. You've got reserva, which is a mix of what they've been said, and it's also the age. You've got bodega. Then you have, so we say, the lower levels, the lower tiers, and they're mixed fed. They're not as organic as people like to think they are. Not going to Badanera. Badanera you'll only get really in specialized places, specialized charcuterias, or places where they sell wine and sell hams and cheeses as well, which you can find in places like Seville and Cordoba and even in Malaga as well. There are places that do it. So yeah, it's an art form. It's the cutting, and it's an art form. You see people at weddings doing the sherries and pouring this and that, and then you've got two people in the corner,
Yeah.
legs of ham, and it's paper thin. You can't see the cut line on the actual leg itself. It's so well done. And a little tip for anyone: if you're going to buy a ham for Christmas, if you're going to buy a ham for any special occasion, if you go to a supermarket and they say, "Do you want it boned?" say no.
Oh,
Do
definitely.
not get it boned, because it will dry out from the inside out, and you might end up losing half the ham. So don't do it.
I mean, what happens? Not happens so much these days. And when I first arrived here back in 2002, you get a lot of office workers will be giving a leg of ham for Christmas. It was a traditional gift by the employer for the employer. That seems to have died out a bit, but you see I love walking into an old Spanish restaurant and seeing the hams hanging down. And they have these little plastic caps which are catching the fat, which also sounds a bit grim, but those hams are something else. There's a smell to it. It just looks wonderful. Right.
Yeah.
I think we've done Spanish food. I think that's a pretty good starter there.
Finally, we got food out of the way. With still so much more to talk about as well, because there's the paellas, there's the beachfront, and the salads and stuff, and places. There are so much. We'll do another one at some other point, I'm sure.
I think we're going to have to do another one, because we criminally didn't mention Valencia, did we? That's quite famous.
We didn't.
For the most. Well, I don't like paella. To be fair, I've never liked it. So
There's a thing with just very quickly to touch on that. Obviously, we've got the likes of Galicia, we've got Valencia, which have got very typical dishes. But the paella in Spain. Anyone that comes from the UK that doesn't know what a paella is will go to a beach bar. They'll have a mixed paella, and you've got chicken tasting like prawns and prawns tasting like chicken. And unfortunately, that's not a
Yeah.
traditional way of doing it. We will talk about it. We will go into it, and we'll also look at some of the other wonderful places that have some amazing dishes and some cracking food.
And you think Jamie Oliver got a load of grief for making his own version of the famous Valencia dish? When you see on some of the seafront bars here, they're committing worse crimes than poor old Jamie. Right.
Good to see you looking well again, mate, and good to
I
hear
do
you that
feel
you're.
I'd have perked up, but I think once the medicine wears off, maybe I'll be a bit more grumpy again. But who knows? Right. So please, now, if you want to add a comment to this video, please do. We love hearing from you, and we love trying to answer whatever question or comment you may have to leave. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like this video. It's important that you share it. We're trying to build an audience up, so we really appreciate everybody's effort. And I think today is our 1 month anniversary. So long may it continue. Well done, Dan.
Long may it continue indeed. And yeah, and as Mark said, sharing is caring. Please share it with your friends, because there will be things in here that maybe you thought, oh, I knew that, but someone might not. So share it with them, and that you might be giving them a bit of a leg up with some info. Okay, so thanks for that.
All right, good to see you.
mate.
But I think we're going to record a video straight after this. So I'll say goodbye for the sake of the camera, and hello again in about 5 minutes.